Many have been deceived. Many have been deceived. And whoever is deceived by alcohol is unwise. The Bible here in the book of Proverbs is touting wisdom. It paints wisdom as a woman that we should model our lives after and we should desire to be close to. Our culture today tries to sell us alcohol by creating a fantasy world around drinking. Think about the slogans of the beer commercials. Budweiser had the slogan, "True." Miller Genuine Draft used the word pure. Coors claimed itself the official sponsor of Guys Night Out. But in reality, what are the beer commercials really selling us? They're certainly not about intoxication, but fantasy. After all, the alcohol industry is a $65 billion a year industry, spending over $2 billion a year on TV advertising alone, always providing us with the most creative, the most clever ads. According to Gene Kilborn, an international lecturer on alcohol advertising, alcohol ads link drinking with happiness, wealth, prestige, sophistication, success, maturity, athletic ability, virility, creativity, and satisfaction. The irony is that it produces the reverse of all of those things. Yet millions of Americans choose to believe the commercials. Abe Lincoln said, "Alcohol has many defenders, but no defense." Billy Sunday said, "The saloon is a liar. It promises good cheer and sends sorrow. It promises prosperity and sends adversity. It promises happiness and sends misery. It is God's worst enemy and the devil's best friend." $25 billion will be spent this year on beverage alcohol. When I was a child, television limited their advertising to beer alone. But now even hard liquor can be advertised on the television screen beginning in 2002. Alcohol has a deceptive nature. It's deceptive concerning the subject of addiction. We are designed with senses in our body that when we feel pain, we don't do that thing again that caused pain. We're designed by God to protect ourselves. Verse 33 and 34 describe all of the adverse effects of alcoholic consumption. But then the end of verse 35 says, "When shall I awake that I may seek another drink?" It is exactly contrary to the way God created us because alcohol is an addictive substance. We get a chemical dependency for that high, that satisfaction, that relief, and we seek it again, even knowing the cause, the damage that it is going to cause and the harm that it is going to do. A Chinese proverb states, "First the man takes a drink, then the drink takes a drink, then the drink takes the man." One man said, "I drink vodka so people can't smell it on my breath." His friend said, "You should drink something they could smell, then at least they'll know that you're drunk instead of thinking that you're stupid." We are deceived concerning the addictive nature of alcohol. We're also deceived concerning the inherent danger of alcohol. Alcohol kills over 65,000 Americans every year. If we view a generation as being 40 years, If we view a generation as being 40 years, that means that 2.5 million people out of every generation are killed because of alcohol. We talk about Hitler and the Holocaust, which killed 6 million Jews during his reign of terror. And yet every 40 years, 2.5 million lives are lost to alcohol. In the 9 years of the Vietnam War, 57,000 Americans died fighting for our country. Millions, maybe some of you, protested that atrocity in the streets, completely blind to the 585,000 dying people at the hands of alcohol during that same period of time. Where are the protesters in this war? If this were any other plague affecting our country, we would be up in arms. Hollywood actors would put on telethons raising money to find a cure. Rock stars would pack them in by the thousands for benefit concerts. Scientists would offer a reward to anyone who could find an antidote. Politicians would run on the platform of stopping the plague that's killing America. More than 400 Americans will die this week in alcohol-related car wrecks. Many of those innocent people victimized by drunk drivers. That's more people than we could pack in the largest jetliner. And if every week one plane filled to capacity with people plunged to the death of all of those people, we would truly be sounding the alarm. There would be a congressional investigation. But we have allowed the beer companies to totally deceive us. When we hear the name Coors, we think about snow-capped mountains and icy springs. We hear the name Busch, and we think of gardens and baseball stadiums. Another way that alcohol deceives us is we're deceived about the influence that our behavior in the area of alcohol has on other people. Listen to this quote. You say, I'm a Christian and I can have a drink. Doesn't hurt anything for me to order a glass of wine with my supper. Doesn't hurt anything for me to have a case of beer under my arm as I check out at Food Line. Listen to this quote. If we really care about the souls of men, and if we are really in the business for Christ rather than for ourselves, then there seems to be no alternative to total abstinence, not as a matter of legalism, but rather as a matter of love. Because in reality, alcohol offers you red eyes, a white liver, dark brown breath, a yellow streak, and a blue outlook. Proverbs chapter 20, verse 1 says that wine is a mocker. It is designed by its very nature to grab a hold of you and to make a fool out of you. Wine is a mocker. It is a mockery that those that peddle alcohol have such control over our country. P.T. Barnum made millions of dollars on the premise that there's a sucker born every minute. Manufacturers and distributors of alcohol are counting on that as well. What a mockery. At worldly wedding ceremonies, the couple takes their glass and hoists up in the air that liquid which is most likely to destroy their marriage. What a mockery. A newborn baby arrives and we do the same thing. What a mockery. In athletic events, who's the largest sponsor? And yet consumption of that to excess will ruin the athlete. Connie Mack said this, alcohol has thrown more men out of baseball than all the umpires put together. Why is it that we vomit when we drink? Because our stomach is smarter than our head is. We call it intoxication because alcohol literally is a toxin. And you ought to know better than to poison your body with that substance. And in reality, those that pass laws in our country should not be so easily swayed by the tax revenue that is generated through the alcohol industry. And would to God more would stand for any godly character and conviction and protect our families from the destructive effects of alcohol and alcoholism. You say, Pastor, why do you have to preach total abstinence? Because it's the only way to keep us safe.